We will be on in about 15 seconds. Episode 84 of LightsThunderAction is here. We review Moon Knight. We review Moon Knight episode 5 and give bold predictions for the finale, discuss the news, and TCR is going to celebrate because JRB has finally joined the Everywhere All at Once hive. We'll see you after the jump, kids. Welcome to
LTA with
TCR
and JRB.
This is where the fun begins.
You're just not thinking fourth dimensional.
Slowness. Peter 03.
Num num.
I'm vengeance.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.
I love you guys.
Hold on to your butts.
If we find out you have personalized license plates, you die.
Dude, I almost had you.
To that I say, all right, all right, all right.
Good evening. It is May 2nd, 2022, The Rock's freaking birthday, and it is time for your Monday Night Pick Me Up, where two beard bros dive into all things Marvel, DC, pop culture, IP, and the latest happenings in the film industry.
Yes, thank you. Yes, Thomas and I will be starting tonight's episode talking about Moon Knight's 5th episode, Asylum, and giving our theories on how the finale can pull the show together. And then we'll be talking about CinemaCon, as well as some other exciting industry news. But first, Thomas, where can everybody find us?
We are live beaming directly into your homes and phones via our Lights Thunder Action Facebook and the HWWS WebTV channel on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. All of those links can be found at Linktr.com/Lights Thunder Action. All one word, no hyphens, no spaces there, kids. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow to view the live version of our show, where you can interact with us. But if you don't want to look at our beautiful beards, but hear our beautiful voices,
I'm not going to try to carry that. You can find our beautiful voices on Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, and Spotify. Be sure to follow and subscribe while you're there on those platforms. Leave us a 5-star review and ask us a question, and we'll answer it right here on the show. Now, Thomas, we have kind of a big week going on right now. We have the Moon Knight finale coming up in just about a day and a half.
31 hours?
Oh, man. Give or take. That is going to be so much fun. And then we have the premiere. That's tonight. That's happening in California as we speak. The world premiere of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Thomas, where are you at? Where's your hype level on this?
My hype level is over 9,000.
Yes.
You know, I'm so ready. I'm ready for my brain to be melted, built back, put together. There's a lot of multiverse happening in this world right now. It's beautiful. In our world, in the film world, in the Marvel world, it's going to be fantastic. JRB, where's your multiverse hype level? Where's your mom hype level?
Yes, my mom level. My hype level for this movie has risen significantly over the past week or two, especially with those trailers that we've been getting just making sure that we know that Peggy Carter as Captain Carter is going to be in this movie. They teased it on one of the promotional posters for the film with a glance of her shield and one of the shards of glass surrounding Doctor Strange. And then in these past couple looks, they've straight up shown her shield flying around, and apparently she's got a jetpack too. So a lot of my friends know I was a huge fan of What If. Captain Carter was one of my favorite elements, and has one of the biggest roles to play in the second upcoming season. So yeah, I am really, really, really excited to see this week. Feels good to say that a Marvel movie's coming out this week. Uh-oh, he's muted again. We're starting tonight off strong. Here we go.
I didn't even realize I muted my mic. That's awkward. Yes, I am. It's
Good
Manic
stuff,
Monday. But getting back to the big week, you're not wrong, man. That's on Thursday. For me, at least, I'm going to see Mom on Thursday. Multiverse of Madness, in case you're all confused why I'm saying Mom. There's a lot less syllables and letters. So we're going to go with Mom. Go see Mom on Thursday.
Doctor Strange and the Mom.
Doctor Strange and the Mom, yeah.
There we go.
That is a parody waiting to be done somewhere, not here. But we excited. I'm so excited for that. And then literally the day before, we have Moon Knight. Not just Moon Knight, kids. May the 4th. It's May the 4th, and I can't wait for whatever it is Star Wars we're getting. That's right. I just took this into a Star Wars direction, and look how excited I am.
It took him approximately 6.5 minutes to get here. Star Wars it is.
It took me 6 minutes and 60 seconds to get to this point. Genuinely cannot wait. I know that we have a Book of Boba Fett Disney gallery coming out. That'll be fun. Show us Luke Skywalker. Give me more pod racing jokes from Dave Filoni. You got me hooked. But we're also supposed to be getting something else because it's May the damn 4th. So hopefully we're getting a trailer of something. And I'm going out to a May the 4th thing here in my town, which I didn't know existed until like a week ago, and I accidentally happened to see it flash on a billboard. So
nice. I'm
ready. And then, we're live here tonight, here on Monday night. LightsThunderAction. I almost said Raw, in case you were wondering. I almost slipped into my old wrestling gimmicks.
It's Monday night.
From when I was a child. It's Monday night wrong. Tomorrow also recording the Reckless Rebellion because there's no time in the week because I leave town Friday to go do another fun shoot. So that means tonight we got a lot to talk about, JRB. Do we want to just hop right into the multiverse? We've already spoken about it. We'll do that because that's going to be probably kind of short, right?
Yeah, I feel like when it comes to Multiverse of Madness, there's so much talk, so much hype around it right now, and there has been for such a long time. It feels like
4 years, 3 years,
yeah, something like that. And then since No Way Home came out around Christmas time, this is all we've been looking forward to because that's where they kind of left us wanting more. Is they ended that movie with this trailer, and it's kind of just been all build up since then. So I feel like everything I've had to say about this movie has been said. I've been dodging most of the promotional stuff at this point, just in case something kind of slips through the cracks again, because it seems like marketing's a little bit mismanaged with how heavy they're laying it on right now. And I'm not trying to risk it.
You know what, man? I hate it. I don't want to say hate because it's just because I love it, but passionately against it. I really don't like that they've released all these new things simply because I feel it's the first 30 minutes of the movie now. Now I'm like, are we about to get all of this dumped in our brains in the first 30 minutes? Are we meeting the Illuminati right off the bat? Like, are you kidding me? Unless this movie becomes an Illuminati movie. Oh, I broke myself. I didn't see that coming, actually. Like, this could become, after what No Way Home was, this could become like a straight up, quite literally mind bending. Oh, by the way, you're on the Illuminati. I don't know why they talk like that, but Their little baby dolls.
They probably won't talk like that. But I I like where you're going with this. I see where you're coming from. I feel a little bit more encouraged now that CinemaCon has passed because those of you who know, Disney put on the first 20 minutes of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness as part of their CinemaCon panel. And although everyone there has to agree to like an NDA, they have to stay tight-lipped about everything that happens within that panel, we haven't really seen anything new leak, which I don't know. Maybe that's just everyone being honest, but also maybe that's just everyone saying, oh, we really didn't see anything unexpected in that 20, 30-minute time frame. So I don't know. Maybe most of this movie is still yet to be seen by pretty much anyone. Maybe there is still plenty to be had there. And it just feels like a lot right now because we have no idea what's going to happen. Or maybe we've seen way too much, but I think Multiverse of Madness has the potential to surprise us at every turn. And I think we've only seen just a couple actual surprises through that marketing. And I think they might have worked those in just to make it feel like we're in on it, you know? But I think there's still a lot to be had once this movie is released.
So what, give me 3 cameos you want, 2 cameos you need, and 1 prediction.
Wow. Okay. So 3 cameos I want. Let me start with the needs because then I can do the wants after. The ones that I need are going to be any of the original cast from Fantastic Four. I feel like if we're paying so much attention to these legacy characters, especially when it comes to X-Men and how so many people want to see Hugh Jackman as Wolverine again, I want Fantastic Four to get the credit that they deserve because they helped pave the way for the comic book superhero movie franchises to take form, because it introduced us to another separate group that could be more lighthearted and enjoyable and fun to see while still taking on these huge like world threatening like villains like Dr. Doom and Galactus. So yeah, I would definitely want to see even if it's just Michael Chiklis as the Thing for a second, just flying through the kitchen and he's chomping on another fork or something, or he gets you see him sitting in the room playing video games and you drop down on the couch next to him and then all of a sudden he gets hit in the face by a fireball and then you're off to the next universe before you can see what happens. I want to see just quick instances like that are just acknowledging the franchises that have kind of brought us to this point where we can really grasp the concept of a Marvel multiverse. So let's say Michael Chiklis as Thing is one. That was a very, very long-winded way to get to Michael Chiklis as the Thing as my number 1 needed cameo in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Number 2 has to be Bruce Campbell in literally any role. But I'm going to say as Mysterio. We know Bruce Campbell's going to be in this movie. We know there were rumors for literally more than a decade of him playing Mysterio in an unfinished Spider-Man 4 project. I think we got to see that, especially if this is going to be the last time that Tobey's universe is really acknowledged in any sense. I don't think they have any future plans for that. So it would be a kind of a fun way to bookend it and be like, here's all the cool stuff that we were thinking about doing, which would include Bruce Campbell as the Raimi versus Mysterio.
Yeah, I like that.
What about you? I need a cameo that you need.
I knew my wants a little easier than my needs. I got one. I've got one. I'm trying to think. I've got one, and I don't want to say it first because it's obviously the one I need the most.
Yeah.
I will say I need Kang. I need a Kang.
Okay.
You know, that's not the one
Makes
I was
sense.
thinking, but I need a Kang. I don't give a frack which. Oh my God. You know who's on the Illuminati?
Who?
Not a Fantastic Four member we know. A Kang. A good Franklin Richards.
Oh,
in a Fantastic Four costume carrying on the legacy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right.
Oh, wow. That would be awesome if we got to meet Franklin Richards before we get to meet the Fantastic Four.
Right.
Franklin Richards, the Fantastic Four's the Future Foundation. We meet all of that first, and then we get to learn the story of the Fantastic Four, and that's how it'll be set as like a period piece. Oh, wow. I would absolutely love to see Franklin Richards in live action. That would be such a unique character to throw into the Illuminati, and something that I would say most audiences would never see coming.
Yeah, that'd be fun. My other one for sure is Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, man. It's the easy one, right? Like that is the one I need.
This is
the
it.
absolute most. The first one I was like, I don't need anything. Oh, I need Deadpool though. Like I genuinely need.
We gotta have it. Multiverse of maximum effort, man. Let's will it into existence.
I still God, you son of a beast. And then we can get a maximum reaction for sure.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of reaction, our brothers, our family from across the time sphere. I don't know how to describe what time itself is across the time dimension. Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. There in the thing, they said Lights Thunder Reaction. That's us. That's us. I smell
we just
thunder
found our name for our reaction
and
videos.
mutton chops. Yeah. Oh, Lights Thunder Reaction.
I smell thunder and mutton chops. Love it.
Yeah. I do smell thunder. Okay. So I've gave my right. Ooh, really fast. The best way to get Deadpool in is do you happen to remember the rules of time travel inside the MCU?
Why don't we go over them right now?
Oh, okay. Everything is basically a fixed point in time. Back to the Future is a bunch of bullshit. If you go back in time, it changes that point in reality to become a new reality, a new multiverse, if you will. And then bleep, blop, bleep, bloop, bleep, bloop, bloop. We see what happens if something changes. # Loki with the Tesseract. And then it was all meant to stay in a loop, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if those rules are the same across all the multiverses, Deadpool just destroyed a bunch of realities, created a bunch of realities, and is destroying and creating his own multiverse of Deadpoolites.
Deadpool is going to be one of the pieces that are creating the madness, and Doctor Strange is going to have to stop him along the way.
Woo! It's going to be Deadpool. It's going to be Doctor Strange.
You're right. He did totally end his second movie going on a multiversal rampage. You're right.
Yeah.
That, like, based on the MCU logic of it, he created a branch reality at every turn. When he
couldn't even kill baby Hitler.
Wow. Well, hold on. The whole premise of Deadpool 2 was essentially creating a branch reality, right? Because they were trying to undo a death, but by the MCU standards, he wouldn't be undoing it. He would just be separating the reality and creating one where they do survive.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Boom. We got there. What are 3 you need?
3 that I need? I already did 2 that I need. I'm going to do 3 that I want.
Oh, sorry. That's what I meant. 3 that you want.
3 that I want. Let's say Chris Evans as Human Torch, just for the hell of it. Okay. I want to see Nick Cage as Ghost Rider, because that'd be super fun. Don't think it'll happen, but I'd be very happy if it did. And then let's just say Taika Waititi as Korg, because we already saw him pairing up with Deadpool in that little mini trailer they did. It'd be cool to see them hanging out again. Add a little more comedy to it. And I'm only bringing that up because I can't think of a third one right now.
Okay, that's fair.
What about you?
I instantly thought of when you said Korg and Deadpool. It's like, any advice on how to get in the MCU? Have a dream, work really hard at that dream, go all the way, lose your friends, your family, fail, give up on your dream, and then your agent will call you. Thanks. Immediately what I thought on that. Very okay, man. You went through yours fast, dude. You've already called out a Chris Evans want, so I'll remove him from the list. I would not mind seeing. Okay, I want another variant of Chris Hemsworth as Thor.
Ooh, who would you want to play him?
No, I mean like Chris Hemsworth. I just want Chris Hemsworth as Thor in this movie. You know what? That's
okay.
Who would I? Ooh, okay. Liam Hemsworth. Because then, here's why. Then Luke, their brother, Liam, and Chris will have all played Thor in the Marvel Universe, in the MCU, in a Marvel Studios film. The actor that plays Thor is Chris and Liam's brother that doesn't exactly look the same. Looks just enough, but not the same.
Yeah, right. He's like the third one. Yes.
Yeah. I think there's 4 of them, but I might be wrong. I don't know. There's a lot of Hemsworths running around.
There's an even more obscure one?
Possibly.
Yikes.
I don't know, man. People got a lot of family, but that's what I'd like. I need a Thor. I'd kill for a Beta Ray Bill, but I don't know if we're gonna get him from another multiverse or not. I wouldn't mind that at all, if I'm being dead honest, though. I got a Thor in there. I don't know. I think I just topped myself out, if I'm being honest. You know, I wanted a Captain Carter. I was trying to think of some fun ones that we'd get.
Yeah,
different Ant-Man. I want a different Ant-Man. I want a young Ant-Man.
We could be seeing that soon, because that was something they were teasing in What If. Was we were looking at Hank Pym as like an Ant-Man Yellow Jacket hybrid when he went mad. Yes. And they definitely still have Ant-Man on their idea board. And with how big Quantumania is positioning itself to be, especially with Kang being involved, and the quantum realm, or whatever you want to call it, is technically another universe within that multiverse. So Ant-Man has just as much experience with interdimensional travel as anyone in this movie does at Multiverse of Madness. Ant-Man might end up being thrust right into the forefront of all of this by the end of the movie. I have no idea how they're going to get there, but if they want to find the physics behind what they're trying to do, that's a hero that's been experimenting with multiversal travel for years now. It's going to be weird, man. It's going to be so weird. Who would you want to see be an Ant-Man variant? Would you want it to just be other Paul Rudds? Should we see more third grade size Paul Rudds running around in oversized hoodies?
Yes, I want baby Paul Rudd and old man Paul Rudd. I want them all to meet and be like, so who peed in my suit?
Was it baby me, or was it me?
I don't know if it was old me, baby me, or just me. I want to find out in this movie. Well, we're not going to find out in this movie. We'll probably find out in Quantumania, but like, this isn't even about a want. You know what? I'm gonna stay back on topic. A cameo I want. So I got an Ant-Man. I got a Thor. Who do I need? Who do I want? Who do I want to see? I want to see a setup of a whole new set of characters. We'll call it Power Pack. I'll just say Power Pack.
Oh, wow.
It's fracking. Okay. It's different. It's out there. It's weird. It's the Marvel Universe. You need to make stuff for kids. PG for kids. Yeah, that's 3 I want, I guess.
Okay.
That's tough.
Yeah. Power Pack. I like that. All right. That technically counts as 4, right?
Yeah, Power Pack is 4, actually.
Cool. There you go.
Bang. Oh,
overachieving.
While we're doing 4, I want to see some Fantastic Four.
Okay.
But I think
I'm
that
glad we're on the same page with that too.
Yeah.
Half my answers were Fantastic Four as well.
I really want the most out of anything is Chris Evans as Johnny Storm.
I feel like if
100%.
We don't acknowledge it, we'll always look back at it as a missed opportunity. You know? Yeah. And I have to say, you got to feel like he's at the point in his career where he can do that comfortably, you know, because yeah, there was a time where he wasn't proud of that role, but I think he's moved far enough past it, especially with what he's established in the MCU specifically. So,
and then seeing what they probably just did with No Way Home, and they're like, hey, you want to come for a cameo?
Right.
Well, now I do.
That could totally explain that report saying that Chris Evans was back in talks with Marvel right after Endgame, because they were all saying it was going to be for another movie appearance or for a series. And I was thinking, no, it's got to be for something much smaller. And it's been blown out of proportion since then. I don't know what's true about that anymore, but it would make sense if it was just this, you know?
He's the man on the moon.
He's the man on the moon. That's right. Yes. No one knows where Steve is still, and they're choosing to keep that from us. But is there anything else you want to talk about this Multiverse of Madness? Where do you think we're going to end up by the end of this movie? What do you think the state of the MCU will be by the time the credits roll?
Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
It's going to be fixed. It's going to be fixed. I don't see this. I genuinely do not see anything lasting. This is where my my cynicism is going to come in.
Wow. Okay.
Why do you think? My expectations that this movie opens crazy stuff. Here's why. Loki, we thought that. WandaVision, we thought that. This truly does have the opportunity to do that, right?
It does, but those series were all building up to this.
Yeah, and then we look at some of the movies we've got too. We thought it was about to be No Way Home, and it was much smaller and intimate, right?
It was, but they did fix it by the end of the film, so we think. Are they going to do that again?
Exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly. They fixed it in No Way Home. I would love if it doesn't get fixed. Now, let's talk genuine predictions, though.
Okay.
I don't know where it's going to end, but I've been saying this on this podcast since episode 3. Wanda is going to create mutants in the MCU when she says, "Give me more mutants," right? Or something along those lines. She is going to be the catalyst for the reality changing powers people are about to get. Hashtag Monica Rambeau.
I like that. I'm gonna take you one step further.
Yeah, Monica. Yeah.
I think Wanda has already created mutants.
Okay.
Because
expound.
My fiance and I are just finishing up our rewatch of WandaVision right now, and that Hex did some crazy things to Monica, but it took like 2 or 3 times in and out of that Hex for it to really take effect, for it to be noticed, and for it to be pronounced. But there were at least 4,000 people in that Hex before she expanded it. Mm-hmm. And it got to a level where it was unignorable by any facet of government, or it affected many lives.
It did.
And they've just kind of ditched that entirely and are referencing it as if it's kind of like, I think Dr. Strange said something like, "I'll get you back on the lunchbox," or something like that. Like, it's like, "I'll get rid of this little oopsie for you." Those people's lives were all altered and tormented. And especially the people that were on the outer part of the town that weren't as active and were stuck doing the same motion over and over again for hours on end. I mean, the just the torture that comes from that, but psychologically, but also those people clearly, with how Monica was affected, were like genetically altered by this occurrence. And who knows what else they're going to be capable of. But when Wanda, we've seen that Wanda's power has the ability to enhance these powers and to like give new life to Vision. New White Vision is powered by Wanda's chaos power. What happens when they come into contact with this magic again? You know, because Agatha's there. She left Agatha down there.
So you just finished it, you said? Y'all just finished it?
Where you got the finale and then we're done. Yeah.
Okay. I know Monica went through 3 times. She walked in, she was pushed out, she walked back in. She seemed to have powers on that last one. Right?
Yeah.
So it takes 3. 3's a magic number. They've already been through it twice. Right? At the very least, we know she created it and she ended it. Yeah. I do believe there was a point where it started cracking and they, so no matter what, it at the end of the day, all it's going to take is her to do it one more time.
Exactly, right. And who knows how else they
Mm.
can come into contact with that same cosmic energy,
Mhm.
especially if there's a bunch of Infinity Stones or the energy from it at least flying around through people like Scarlet Witch.
Yes.
Kamala Khan's in New Jersey.
Mhm.
Who knows what she's going to attract once her series gets going? It's going to attract some Skrulls probably. Then
Oh yeah, it is.
Captain Marvel might end up back in New Jersey. She's got that same cosmic energy.
Oh, absolutely. She does. It's cosmic. Nice, nice touch. What about you? What prediction you got?
I think that this is going to be pretty much the opposite of what you said. I'm just going to put it at that. I think that everything's going to get further untied and unbundled, and it's going to be a bigger mess to clean up. That's going to lead to new types of adventures and excursions across the multiverse. I think it'll establish a clean cut way that we're supposed to interpret, traveling between realms. I think that the state of the MCU will at least get to a point where it's still, what's the word, inhabitable, where the world will keep spinning and life will still go on, but our understanding of the MCU and the dangers and the implications that come with what happens in Multiverse of Madness will leave us in a much worse state than what we were in before, because this boundary will be broken, or it won't be able to. Doctor Strange won't be able to protect our universe from the threats of the multiverse the same way he would before. That's just my hope of where we'll go, because that means the scale will continue to increase and the power level will continue to rise, and that's what keeps these adventures interesting. But yeah, who knows? We could go the exact opposite way and go right back to everything being okay too. That would be very nice, because it's been pretty stressful lately.
Right? Yeah, I'm so you were talking about finding out, I think you mentioned like what kind of Doctor Strange, right? Like what is so, because I how do I put that into a damn sentence? I just see fractures of a timeline. All right, so what if this movie genuinely ends with Doctor Strange on the Illuminati and he becomes the multiversal Avenger head? Because we've seen Carol in space and we've seen Bruce on Earth. Now, knowing there's a multiversal threat, you need someone at the head of that. That would be Doctor Strange. And it would be because he's in the Illuminati, trying to control the multiverse as best as he can. Now, my counter to that is, if I want everything to get fucked up, Kang kills everyone in the Illuminati and there's nothing fixed at the end, and it becomes absolute, pure, unadulterated madness, and the multiversal war starts right then, but we don't get to see it for another decade.
I think we're definitely going to have implications closer to that. Yes, this Illuminati team that we're going to meet, I don't think that any of them are going to make it out of this movie. I think we're going to meet them, and then that's going to be sort of not the MacGuffin, but that's going to be the moment where it's established the stakes of the movie. How crucial this mission they're on truly is to the fate of our universe and the greater multiverse. So I think that this Illuminati team we're meeting will definitely be replaced, or at least maybe imitated or inspired in some way going forward. I don't think it's going to be this specific team that we're meeting in the trailers for this movie.
Okay.
Especially if Mordo's on it. I don't see that going well at all.
I want to know which Mordo that is.
Yeah, because it could very well be not the one
Mordo
that we've known already,
Yeah, it could be. But if you notice, there's only one Mordo we've seen. I'm really hopeful that that's our Mordo, because he understood that, like, he's willing to do something to balance the scales, right? If you will. There's too many sorcerers. He's trying to take their power away from them so that the dark dimension doesn't really take over, because they obviously are pulling, if you've watched Doctor Strange, they are pulling energies and from other dimensions to utilize magic in our reality. Right. So that's basically how it's described. So really quick, there's a question from the Traveling TARDIS. What about recycled actors meeting their characters, aka Chris Evans, Cap, and Torch meet, Thanos and Cable meet.
Thanos
You
and
like
Cable. I like that. Yeah,
That'd be a good
that
one.
would be. I like that one a little bit more. Because they're both so intimidating. And I don't know how they would pull that off, but that would be really funny if they could get them face to face somehow.
Fuck dubstep. That's his line, right? Like dubstep sucks. Something weird.
Dubstep's for pussies.
That's what it is. So dumb, dude. That movie makes no sense. It's so funny.
And that's why it's so fun. It if they could retcon it into like this fun like multiverse adventure, oh man, that would be pretty sweet.
Deadpool 3 across the multiverse.
Man, this movie is gonna be so much fun.
I was thinking about how the multiverses all like fracture and stuff, and then in my head I was like, wouldn't it naturally like out of oh boy, my brain went deep. I'm so sorry, ladies and gentlemen. You got to dive with me into this rabbit hole really, really fast. Less than 10 minutes, I swear.
Here we go.
Those things going on, like if the multiverse starts beginning to crack, at some point, a greater being has to come along and contain that, yeah? In the same way that he had to contain the spell. If that's in the microverse right there, then in the macroverse, it has to be true. If all of these things go crazy, isn't that maybe how we got the sacred timeline? It was just boxed in, capped, sequestered away so it could be protected, and everything else was allowed to kind of go, but TVA was there to kill all the other timelines. Really, this is how we get to Secret Wars and Battle World. If a greater being has to drop in and contain this multiverse into a little ball and make it somehow, I'm assuming if people are caught inside of a ball, they have to live there forever. A la What If episode. Well,
we've seen it twice now in the last year.
Yeah, 4 and the finale. So,
and Spider-Man No Way Home with the spell that Strange had to contain there. It's
exactly
the same idea communicated across multiple projects. I think there's a chance we could definitely see that have greater implications for this Doctor Strange movie, especially since he's been the one to use it both times.
Yeah. Bloody hell. Sucks to be that guy, eh?
Yeah.
Ooh, one thing we did not say, the Watcher. Think that would be a fun one to have.
I got it. I have to see Jeffrey Wright as the Watcher in live action. That's going to be way too much fun to pass up on.
Or is he dead? Anyways, we'll find that out in Thor: Love and Thunder. You know what I'm saying? Wow. Really quick here, we just talked multiverse. That's kind of it for the Multiverse of Madness, kids. But guess what? That is not. I forgot to do this at the top of the show. We just went multiversal right off the bat. I'm going to try and keep this short. MegaCon is coming up May 19th to the 22nd. If you remember last week, some idiot said the dates wrong, but that's because he was dropped into another multiverse this week, and that's the only thing that's different. So I'm just running with the information I've been given.
He was too busy being so goddamn handsome.
Okay, Zap Brannigan.
All I got is Scruffy, the janitor.
So, and of course, us good old fashioned Zoidberg. But at MegaCon, May 19th to 22nd, we got a panel. The LightsThunderAction Thunder Buddies live panel will be, I believe, I'm 100%. I'm not 100% certain it's been set in absolute stone like a gravestone, but as of now, the information I was given is Saturday at noon on the main stage on the vendor floor. We will update you. We got 2 more shows. That's not right. We have 2 more shows after today before MegaCon. So we will update you along the way in case you are there and want to come see us. Because, well, unfortunately, JRB will not be there. He does not live in the Florida region of the world. But one day he's going to be super rich and be able to just take any day off work and fly in, and we're gonna do some stuff. That sounds way worse than what I meant. We're gonna talk about some stuff, kids. Keep it out of the gutter. But that is going to be a very exciting time. Right now, David Thompson might be, it sounds like he could be available. We'll find out. He does live in Florida. I'm also trying to get Jack Hughes maybe to come down. And if not, who knows? We'll fill in. I have too many friends to pick from. And as you know, as a Libra, I hate deciding. So we'll see what happens. If it's David, it's going to be fantastic. We did it last year. They liked us enough to put us on a whole new stage. So no pressure. I'm very excited. I'm about to get ready for the next couple weeks to be that guy on stage, pulling in everyone and blocking up the vendor floor because Thor's going to Thor. Let's move in to the asylum, which is clearly where I belong, of Moon Knight. But first, I said that. First, I need a water break, kids. We're going to take a very brief 1 minute break.
We are a touring acoustic duo crashing kitchens around the country. We go from house to house every Friday night and we create music, we create food, a good time, we stream it live and we do it for free. So now we're just really kind of like trying to develop it and build a community group that people believe in, then they'll help us. So we played from our rehearsal room, we played from the bathroom, thankfully that didn't catch on.
I probably played guitar in my room, not for anyone, in front of anyone, nobody heard, for probably about 10 years.
And then one Friday night we played from the kitchen. It's the main place people want to be. It's where the food is, it's where the drink is, it's where the best lighting is. You can go to any party and I guarantee you the kitchen is going to be popping.
Our ultimate goal, I think, would be to crash kitchens every Friday all around the world.
Shout out to Billy Floyd and the Commodore of the Kitchen Killers. You can find them also at MegaCon. That's right. Everybody's going to be there. It's going to be a wild time. We also, by the way, the HWWS network, we throw on this little fun panel called the Harry Potter Sorting Hat Ceremony. And all I'm going to say is it's a lot of fun. So you should come out. Bring your kids. It is PG. So bring that for that part. I know that I'm not very PG, kids. But for that one, it's PG. Back to the plot. It's Moon Knight, buddy. But I also forgot that at the top of the show, we didn't talk about El Logos. Should we wait to the end?
Yeah, let's save it. I want to get your thoughts on this Moon Knight episode because this was the deep dive character study that we were all waiting to find out about. I feel like they dropped some serious bombs on us that make the rest of the show make a lot more sense, especially with Mark's past. It feels like they unloaded so much in this episode in hopes to kind of have it all in place by this last episode that they have planned out. But how did this episode hit you? Did you like it more than the previous installments? Did you enjoy it a little bit differently, or how did it go?
This is the greatest Marvel Disney Plus episode of all time. It's not even, it is, to me, it's not even close. And here's why. The character, the emotion, and the way it was woven together in the episode narrative, in the overall narrative of the series, and over the overall narrative of the characters. I just finished watching this for the third time, trying to have notes for this talk, because I woke up today and I was like, oh, I'm going to try and watch it. And then didn't work out. And I was like, I can squeeze it in right before the show. Amazing. There's so much to cover. I mean, we get a little bit of Jake Lockley, the origin of Steven and Mark, the reason the barrier between them is broken. Like, there's so freaking much to cover, or try to cover, but really there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of depth in this episode. And I think that it creates payoffs for the future. It pays off a lot of what we've seen so far. And everyone's complaining about how much there is to do still, and I don't see there that much. I think it's a pretty dang straightforward finale episode to me. But what about you, JRB? What did you think of this episode?
I don't think that it's fair to say that there's so much left to do, because we haven't known what they've actually had to do this whole time. They've just been kind of walking us through it, you know? So like we've been through 5 episodes completely lost. We finally got some answers, and now people are saying, you have so much work left, you know, like there's so much that you still have to do for us. You have no idea what's going on. But I think that it's going to be very similar to WandaVision, how this is positioning a huge MCU insertion in terms of like a new character. Like this is going to be a big player going forward based on how they're introducing him. And I think it's just because we don't know where he's going to end up that we're not happy with the idea that there's going to be some unanswered questions following Wednesday's finale. I think there's going to be a lot more open-ended, like the end of WandaVision, leaving Wanda scurrying away unpunished. You have Monica conferring with Skrulls. You have Agatha that's left in Westview. There's so much. And then you have the whole fake Pietro business. So, like, and that's on top of White Vision leaving and everything. So there's so much that unfolded in that last episode that set up so many great things like Multiverse of Madness that we're going to see. So I don't like that sentiment. I don't think they have a lot of work left. I think the true purpose of this show was to introduce us to Mark Spector and Stephen Grant, and then have that be the catalyst that brings Moon Knight into these MCU adventures. Because now that we have this character study, we're not going to need it. Just like for WandaVision, they kind of unfurled so much of her story in 9 episodes that now they can insert her in this huge blockbuster like Multiverse of Madness and have her co-lead in it, you know? It's a character study, and this episode proved that. So because of that, I'm not expecting a ton of action from the finale. I think it's going to be more kind of this judgment, kind of coming to terms with who you are type deal. But if that's what that show is, then I'm going to be here for it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I agree. Doesn't deserve that sentiment of there's so much to do.
Yeah, we just don't know. We don't know what they have left to do.
You're not expecting a lot of action in the finale.
I'm not, just because of the tone that it's set so far. The action's been very minimal, except for that 3rd episode where they're at this weird medieval times type carnival deal where they're riding horses. Or was that 4? Episode 4?
3.
It is 3?
4 was Tomb. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So it's been a lot of like thrilling and suspenseful and all of that good stuff, but it hasn't been a lot of like combat action type of deal. It's been more just action adventure. So yeah, I've just the combat side of Moon Knight, I don't think we're going to get to see a lot more of in this episode.
Okay. That's fair.
I think that's going to be something that they let show itself a little bit later. But what are you thinking? I can tell that you've got a different expectation in mind.
I was kind of expecting them to go out, have like 20, 30 minutes to figure out probably 20-ish minutes to figure out what to do. Big 20 to 30 minute grand fight situation, about 10-minute resolution. That's kind of the structure I was thinking about, but you talk about it and you're right. It'd probably be a lot more like 30, 10 to 15, 10 to 15 of a breakdown. So
that's kind of the point that I was getting at, because apparently the finale is only going to be 42 minutes long.
Shit, I'm expecting all action now. Let's go. No, I'm kidding. That would be a terrible expectation. So let's go ahead and you want to dive into this episode of 5, and then we'll come back to kind of explain why we think differently here.
Yes, let's do it. Yeah, let's take a quick stroll through episode 5, Asylum.
Have you seen the show notes, by the way?
Yes. Yeah. It looks like a book. So
I'm
a little confused if I'm looking at the actual script.
I'm scared.
Or
I'm
not sure what I'm looking at here. So
I'm not either. So we're gonna dive right in. Really quick. I'm gonna hit some really quick, fast bullet points from like the first 3 to 5 minutes of this episode.
Yeah.
We get an afterlife mention. Taweret, the hippo, as I called it, says there's many planes of untethered. It's the afterlife, and afterlife. That you'd be surprised how many planes of untethered consciousness there is. The astral plane, gorgeous. So that's fun. More than just the Black Panthers can see the astral plane. We'll come back to that at some point in the future when it's probably relevant. Talk about Love and Thunder would be my guess. Then we get Mark, in quotations, in the office with Dr. Harrow, nose beaten, bloodied, taped up like a boxer. The more you sit there and watch and you find out he's got this Brooklyn, you're not a doctor. You're not a doctor. You're gonna ruin everything. Jake Lockley, I'm calling it here. I'm calling it now. I'm not sure. I think I've got an idea on how he ties into this. Now that we've seen them and seen some backstory, we'll get to that later if you remember to ask me and if I remember to bring it up. We'll see what happens. It's early. Towerette does her spiel, really, because eventually Jake Lockley fires or gets angry and then he gets stabbed in the neck, and we go right back to the end of episode whatever it was 4. She goes through her spiel of, oh, welcome, traveled souls. This is this. It's been so long since we've had anyone here. I'm so excited to see you. Gives them the spiel. Must have a balanced soul. Takes the hearts out. All that good shit. Saying you got to go through your memories to balance your soul so you can enter the field of reeds. Anything about this opening segment you'd like to hit on?
I'm not gonna lie. This whole opening segment, I was just there for the ride, man. They were introducing so many new concepts to this MCU, like Afterlife, and name dropping places we've seen before, like the ancestral plane from Black Panther. That I was super invested in, like, this new storytelling that they're introducing in this Moon Knight series. So the call outs, the small call outs that they've been making to places like Madripoor or Ancestral Plane, I've really enjoyed. But otherwise, I've been trying to soak in all of this new information, because they've got to have some pretty big plans for this character if they're willing to establish so much of this Egyptian lore and mythology in the MCU. I'm really intrigued by that.
Then we basically go into the asylum rooms, and I have it all counted out. We go through 10 different specific memories throughout the life of Mark, Steven, Jake. However they're connected, we'll find out maybe. Number 1 is Mr. Knight and Khonshu changing the sky. We see that from outside. Then we see, I think one of the street. Oh, do you remember this? Yes. I don't remember. I don't know. Then there's a little kid yelling, help, 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 whatever it is. Steven runs in. We see a room of dead bodies. And all I got to ask is, hey, JRB, you want to see a room of dead bodies? There's a little kid in the room, and he can run around. He runs out. Steven enters the memory by chasing the little kid of little Randall Roro Spectre dying. That's right. I'm just cutting to the chase. I'm not going to walk you through this whole thing. Mark can experience the entire memory as Steven walks and relives it. Then we jump to Rosh Shiva, which is a Jewish tradition to honor the dead. That is a simple version of it, of course. And this is where we get the line, "This is all your fault," coming from Mark's mother, we find out at this point. In that little memory of Roro Spectre, by the way, before he dies, we get a call out to Dr. Grant. We get a call out to the cave. We get a visual call out to Gus, the goldfish with one fin from earlier in the series, right? Did he ever have one fin? Anyways, or was he just lucky and found the one with the one fin?
Or was Mark buying goldfish and cutting one fin off?
Oh, that brutal son of a blue. Or was it Jake doing that? Anyways.
That would probably be a Jake thing. Yeah. But anyway.
Anyways, this is all your fault. And Steven goes up the stairs. And it ends up being Mark's 10th birthday. He blows out 10 candles on the cake. Mom does not come. He goes up the stairs, comes to Mark's, I'm guessing, at least 11th birthday. And this is where Mom drops the lines that are going to really fuck this kid up for his life. You were always jealous of him, even when he was born. Should have known you would do something like this. And is just blaming him for Roro's death. Steven goes open. He runs up the stairs to run away. Steven goes to open the door. Young Mark ran through when Mark pulls him into the street to see. Eventually, they argue back and forth. Somebody slaps somebody. It's fun. The street we see, I'm guessing about 18-year-old Mark leaving, blaming his dad for not fixing the problem that mom has. Dad ends it by saying, I can't lose another son. Then Mark pushes them and they fall into the night that Khonshu took over of Khonshu's tomb. Dead bodies are everywhere, including Layla's dad, Dr. El Faouli. Mark goes to kill himself after being shot in this memory, of course. Khonshu manipulates his broken mind and will become his Moon Knight by saying, rise and live again as my fist of vengeance, as my Moon Knight. Damn, that was a good one. That was my gargoyle's voice, and I'm pretty proud that it came out like that. Steven points out that Khonshu was manipulating him the entire time by calling you slippery little vulture. That is when unbalanced souls start dropping in. Oh, wait, hold on really fast. Let's jump backwards. I didn't mean to jump that far. I forgot JRB.
What did we forget?
Really quick. The asylum rooms, everything we just went through. Let's talk about it. We at least know the origin of Mark's issues emotionally, right?
Right.
Where do you want to go first? What stood out to you the most here in this first sequence of memories?
I think the part that stood out to me the most was the mom issues, because that was a very small seed planted in the first episode. And then we really haven't talked about it since then. It was very briefly mentioned in episode 2 when Layla said, oh, you and your mom are talking again. Which is an even more confusing line now because she doesn't know that she's dead. She thinks that Mark's mom is still alive somewhere. But the mom thing adds a very weird layer because Steven is still under the impression his mom's alive.
Yeah.
But yet Steven was the one that the mom we're supposed to infer was physically abusing.
Yeah, well, we haven't gotten there yet, and I have a theory.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Let's keep going then, because the mom thing is what stuck out to me the most. So that's what I want to come back around to.
So same, honestly. You know what's crazy, man? Like when I was growing up, the joke was all, oh, like you got daddy issues because daddy wasn't there, right? And that was like not to girls. It was because, you know, like fathers from like the 50s on were normally the working ones gone. Now everybody's got mommy issues from our generation. It is super weird, and not just our generation, but younger. Like there's a lot of people who have like genuine just like issues with their mom. It's depressing. Makes me sad. And then Mark Spector has to have it too. That's just too real for Thomas to be feeling great. So am I crying at this point in the episode? You bet your bottom frickin' dollar I am. This is the first Disney Plus show to make me cry at 6:00 in the morning for Marvel, because Star Wars makes me cry like every time. Like it doesn't matter. Yeah, there it is. May the force be with you. So yeah, genuinely, the things that stood out to me was Steven learning all of this and just being like blown away the whole time, trying to learn, wanting to know. He understands what has to be done to balance the scales. He knows that you have to dive through the memories and handle your emotions because he's read up on Egyptian mythology somehow. So I love that. And then as it gets to a certain point, you know, we get to Khonshu's tomb, things flip because Mark's like,
Maybe I was just I was just allowed to be what I always was, a killer.
He's like, no, he was manipulating you. You were broken. You were dying, and he just no.
I didn't want to do it.
Okay, sounds like me arguing with myself. So we're gonna move on to the unbalanced souls dropping in. And then Steven says to Tauret, after they've been given this explanation, that they need Khonshu because their body is going to be dead, right? Mm-hmm. Tauret asks if they want to do that. You know, all things considered, we just saw about that. Steven kind of looks at Mark, and Mark says, yeah, under the circumstances, but we do need him. So they all agree. We're getting Khonshu back. We're getting the band back together. Then she turns the ship around Mark led Steven into the memory he needed to see. I believe there was a Dr. Harrow visit somewhere. I might have not jotted down, but Mark
Those are the things that are confusing me the most, is how Harrow's still involved in this operation. How you're saying he's a spirit guide of some sort, right?
Yes. Yep.
How does that work? If I don't understand how he's involved in this at all.
Dr. Harrow is just a mask for someone else. Or
so
it could literally
it could be someone that's supposed to be like familiar to Mark, or
I think so. I think that's the point. It's got to be someone familiar to Mark and to Steven, and both of them at times have kind of agreed along the way with Harrow, I would assume. Right? You know, you see Steven be like, well, it's not so bad in some ways, but then it's like, well, but you want to release Ahmed. That's not really cool. So Dr. Harrow is a mask. I think it's a mask to cause conflict in the sense of they're both trying to, when Dr. Harrow shows up, they're both trying to run away. Right?
Yeah,
and it's meant to
inside you, and he's stirring it up. But why? Why are you trying to drive Mark to madness?
Well, if you notice, he's not. Like, along the way throughout these, Dr. Harrow is pushing him. He's pushing Mark. He's pushing Mark, right? At least that's how it seems when we see him with Mark. When he's with Jake Lockley, he's like very calm, and he's calling him Mark because he doesn't know that Jake is here. We're assuming it's Jake by this point. The one with the broken nose, we're assuming is Jake by this point. Ladies, gents, droids, humans, non-binaries, Wookiees.
Is it Jake? Because he never got out of the coffin.
That we know of.
But that coffin was still standing.
It was, and not lying down. And not only, which means, you know, he's got to be alive, right?
Definitely, yeah. And maybe that's why he can't get out of the coffin, is because his soul still exists in his body.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So, thank you. You're getting me. You're catching.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm kind of getting it. Okay.
You're getting to where you're catching on to where my prediction is going to end up.
Okay.
But yeah, so Dr. Harrow is just a mask. It's just a face. And it just happens to be a face that, although he's calm and soothing at the same time because of the inner conflict, Mark has to be pushed to an absolute brink. Like, it gets to a point where he's talking and he mentions it to Jake, and he's like, is it sense or nonsense? And he goes, nonsense. And he's listening, and then he snaps. It's like, no, he's going to ruin everything. They inject him, boom, back to the plot. Mark ends up there when he's... So she turns the ship around. They walk inside there, and the short version is we see the slapping on the face. I don't, you don't have to make me. You don't have to make me. We're not going there. And all because Steven just said, it's going to be all your fault if all those people die. It'll be all your fault, Mark. All your fault. And that triggers him. He goes to see Dr. Harrow, and Dr. Harrow eventually says, you have to let Steven in. So that's where it is. Dr. Harrow's the mask, and it's meant to cause conflict because once Mark decided to actively go and basically rip himself out of that point to go into the nonsense part where now he's in his mind, I think Dr. Harrow is just his mind, his consciousness, his soul being like, buddy, you gotta
the Harrow showing up as this psychiatrist is just his mind making sense of the conflict in a physical form.
Exactly.
Holy cow. So Harrow's not there at all, is what you're saying. So based on your theory, this is all just a visualization of the conflict and the chaos that's inside Mark right now.
Have you ever had a dream where somebody was three things at once and three different people?
Yeah.
Because it's one of those. It's one of those. So that is the Dr. Harrow of it all. Because then when Steven shows up later about, you know, a specific line, he's like, okay, fine. We'll do it your way. Let's do it this. And then it's like, oh, you're right. So the only person to not give in to Dr. Harrow is Jake Lockley. But Mark eventually let Steven into the memory he needed to see, which is Mark becoming Steven for the first time, we think. Their mom comes into Mark, and this is after his birthday his 11th birthday being yelled at. He runs away. You're not meant to. Mark yanks Steven out, and it says you're not meant to see it. That's the point of view. Steven gets mad, and here's a bunch of lines. I'm just gonna rattle them off that Mark says. This is basically a Mark monologue. You got to live a happy, simple, normal life. So what? You want to remember a truth? The truth that a mother that beat you, that hated you, that made your life a living hell. But you got to live believing she loved you. She was kind, that she's still alive. And that is when Steven is like, no, my mother's alive. No, my mother's alive. My mother's alive. Goes to Dr. Harrow. They have their conversation. Boom.
Oh wow.
Mom
You're right.
Shiva.
You're
Mark.
right.
Yeah, Mark went, but couldn't go in. Could not go in. Wow, my notes make no sense. At the Mom Shiva, Mark was there. He sees his dad. He's asked to come in. He's drinking hard. He couldn't go in. Then he walks away and he starts breaking down. It is just as gut-wrenching as Wanda when she goes to the plot of land that Vision had bought for them or for her. And then he changed into Steven, whom immediately calls his mom. And in this, I have a question for you. Is it a screen error on the part of filming or a deliberate shot to show that he's never been calling her? Because if you look at the phone, you can still see the home screen of his Android. Like with the apps. And then on the next one, it's a totally different look. Like his face has been hitting it, right?
Man, I hate that.
So
that's the kind of stuff I can't ignore is when like a phone's not doing what a phone should be doing when it calls someone. Oh, that's the worst.
But think about it. For Steven, he's always been thinking he's calling his mom. What if he's never even been calling a number? He's just hitting the hiya, mom. You know, going through this, and then he goes, latest gators. I'm pretty sure there's a certain point he doesn't even hit the off button. He just hits the phone off and slides it in his pocket. Granted, you could have this button situation where you turn it off like mine, but we didn't see any movement. He just got to go and just puts it in his pocket earlier in the series.
Interesting. Almost like it's like a comfort for him or something.
Almost as if it's some kind of trait built into him because Mark wants him to think his mom's alive.
Just like the fact that he's named after a fictional hero from a low-budget action film.
When Stephen Grant is near, when danger is near, Stephen Grant has no fear. Now, we talked about mommy beating little Mark. Mark becomes Stephen.
Yeah.
But then you were never meant to see all that.
That's what doesn't make sense to me is that he's saying that he created this personality as a way to cope with this with his mom. And then yet he's summoning this personality to deal with his mom, but then he's also telling that same personality, you're not supposed to see any of this. So who witnessed it?
Boom. I'm glad you asked, sir. I think that's Jake Lockley. I think Jake, okay, either Steven created Jake Lockley or Jake Lockley was created by himself or by Mark to protect Steven. Because it doesn't make sense. Having been spanked a lot for things I did not do, I understand that you're never going to forget. You know, you can only take so many before you just start listing them in a journal and go, another check mark for today. No, just kidding.
Yep.
But genuinely, he would remember that. So the person who's got blood all over their hands, on their face, on their sarcophagus, one who's draped in red, has to be the one who took every beating.
Right.
And I think that's Jake Lockley. I think Jake Lockley took those beatings. And Jake Lockley is the reason. So Mark, I do not understand dissociative identity disorder. I've not researched it. I do not have it. I believe when Mark created Steven, he created a kid who has no fear, right? And all of these things. So either Steven had all those things and was just kept that mindset while being beat, or there was another personality created to take it. If it's the former, my only thought process is at that very same moment where the border between Steven and Mark was at, right at that point when he changed into Steven and would allow Steven to think Mom's still alive, Jake would have to have balanced that out. Meaning Jake now was the one in the past taking those beatings, because if now Steven remembers his mom's great. Oh, mom's great. Yeah. Hey, mom, you're still alive. Yeah. That doesn't add up to me. So I think Jake as a child was a child getting beaten and just took those beatings. I think anytime stuff gets way too dangerous, the psychopath comes out. The one who took every beating, the one who knows how to take a beating and keep coming back. The one who knows how to take a beating and keep coming back. We're going to sit on that line. We're going to jump to the souls are not balanced, which leads to Mark fighting the unbalanced souls of the Duat, only for Steven to realize that if he and Mark are the same, then Steven's got this too. Ascends to hero status, smacks a dust mite in the face, yells 6. I prefer cricket. Mark is then then he just lays waste to a bunch of them and brutally kills a bunch of sand. Anakin Skywalker would be so fracking proud right now. And he turns around, the Malak guys, those two twin brothers, same guys, and they're just like, yeah, you did it, bud. Mark gets grabbed from behind. Steven runs over, pushes a monster, only to get yanked into the sand, turn into one of the duets. Key points. Because I got a question for you. Mark says, stop the boat, stop the boat. I did a Steven Grant. I'm sorry about that. I did a Steven accent. He's yelled, stop the boat, and you can tell he's like heartbroken. He's like, I got to save him.
Right.
And that's when the scales balance. At the same time that Steven is turning into the sand monster. So my question to you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Mark then immediately enters the field of reeds, which is golden, beautiful. Kind of does remind me of the ancestral plane, but just a different color.
Just the
which
daytime.
Makes sense considering the primary color of each of those eras or locations and technologies. Egyptians very gold, golden skies, reeds, etc. Anyways, my question to you, sir: did the scales balance because Steven is dead? And now there's only one heart on the scale? Or is it because he finally accepted Steven as himself and loves himself?
Yes, I think it's definitely the second one. I think it's the reason his scales have been unbalanced. The reason we've seen that chaos is because he's living with this fractured reality where he's literally split his very being into these multiple lives. And you can't possibly have balance if you're not willing to come to terms with any part of your life. And even just speaking from personal experience, the more you put something off, the greater turmoil, the greater angst it causes in your own soul, and to split it off as an entirely different person and have him living separately from your own consciousness it's got to be so unhealthy for the mind and the soul. So having to I literally saw that as him having to move on without Steven, having to live on his life and come to terms with reality without his fall guy, without the guy he could fall on whenever something didn't go the way that he wanted it to go emotionally, So yeah, absolutely. I think it's Mark having this coming to terms sort of revelation where he's having to literally learn the only way to be balanced in life is to not do what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. We'll probably talk some mental health in a little bit, but that ends this episode.
And let me be clear about one thing. That is not me taking a stance saying that what Mark is doing is wrong or that his disorder makes him less of a person. That's me saying that that's what's being positioned right now. I have a very strong feeling that he's going to counter that and say, no, this is who I am. And we're going to get a very comic accurate moment, maybe not of him and Khonshu, but him and someone saying, I'm Mark Spector, and then saying, I'm Steven Grant. And maybe not the Jake Lackley one yet, but getting this sort of reckoning where he's saying, no, this old way of the gods is wrong. And there is a way to find balance with this. And you can find a more you can enhance those redeeming qualities in these different characters by separating them. Something weird like that. So I don't think that it's going to be Mark having to move on without Steven from here on out. I think it's him having to sort of rewrite these rules that someone's trying to fit him into right now.
Okay. I like that.
But that's it.
I have so many things to talk about here. There's so many different little things. Let's talk about Jake Lockley really quick in terms of predictions.
Man, we're getting to a point where he is at the Mephisto level of characters being talked about that have not ever appeared in anything. So, yeah, what do you have to say about Jake Lockley now?
If you look at, remind me really quick, episode 3 of this season was straight up that was the horse one and Layla and Mark together, right?
Yeah.
That was in Egypt.
Yeah.
Okay. Episode 1, we only see Mark Spector at the very end of the episode, right? A little glimpse and a tease before he becomes Moon Knight. Right. Episode 2, it's a little bit more. You get to see him here. You get to see him interacting with Steven. You get to see him interacting with the world. And then, boom, at the end, he's taken over. It's great. It's good. It's wonderful. He has that argument with whatchamacallit. Then Moon Knight is made a thing. Episode 3, a lot of Mark. Not as much Steven. Now they're working in tandem, etc. Episode 4, at the very end, we get a little bit of a tease of a third personality covered in red. In episode 5, we see the third personality, we think, with a bloody nose. We think because he's talking, he's from Brooklyn. Like, you're not a doctor.
Right. I hate to be that speculative, but the voice was distinctly different from what we've heard in these past 4 episodes.
I saw somebody tweet, this is what happens when you watch something at 6 o'clock in the morning. You miss things like this. Someone's like, oh, do you see that Jake Lockley? You see that Jake Lockley? And I was like, no, I don't see the Jake Lockley. Watched it granted, I watched it at 6 a.m., went to work, come home, rewatch it. And I'm like, oh my God, he's right there. Like, that's him the whole time. He's like doing a Brooklyn accent. Like, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Look at him. Look at that bloody nose. So I think, because Mark is used to having 2 personalities, right? I think it doesn't take very long when he enters he's in the Field of Reeds. Maybe the Field of Reeds is where he can meet Khonshu and save Khonshu. I don't know. But I think he still wants to get back. I don't think he would stay in the Field of Reeds long, but I think the key of it all might be Jake Lockley still being in the body. And I think he might end up being the one who straight up gets rid of Khonshu. I think they will banish Khonshu as an entity of harassment and more of, we will draw upon your power, but we do it our way type thing. Like, there's going to be new rules going forward. I think it's going to become, I think the physical aspect of it, in terms of Khonshu being like, what are you going to do? Then it'll be Jake Lockley and like, hey, you want to know what I'm going to do, Birdface? Like, you like that? You think, you know what I'm going to do, Birdface? I'm going to break that little crushy nose of yours. And then Steven's going to come through and be like, yeah, you little slippery, slimy little vulture. I think that's where Jake Lockley is. There's been some visuals dropped of this final episode. We'll see what happens with Jake Lockley. I do think we get Jake Lockley. I think he becomes established. I think we at least get a name, maybe a first name. And it may not be done until the post-credit scene, but the teases are there enough to warrant this third personality that we've very easily dubbed Jake Lockley. So we've done that. How the frack are we getting Khonshu back, man? I've got very little idea on that.
I can't even figure out where he is currently. When they're trapped in stone, like, is it literally just in that little figure itself? And once you break it, they break out of it like a genie in a bottle? Or is it figurative or more symbolic and they're on like a different sort of dimension? I don't understand how Mark is going to communicate with Khonshu at this point if he doesn't literally get the little stone Khonshu and break him out. How does this Field of Reeds give him the ability to do that?
I have no idea. And I do think that he would be. Yeah, I do think that Khonshu would be. Oh, you know what? Maybe it's just they're banished from the spirit realm, like from Earth, and not from any other realm. So, like, I believe there was a
but
Towerette.
They say in prison though. They've
Fair.
said. I don't know.
So you know what?
Maybe
Yeah, it's the genie in the bottle because they had to get the thingy the statue of the Ushabti of Amet
Oh
to,
right, yeah, of course.
to
That was
release
the whole.
her.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
Which-
okay. So if he needs that, then yeah, how are we going to get back down to his physical form on Earth, where he can get to a point where he frees Khonshu? He's got to the field of reeds. He's got to see someone there. He's going to have to interact with somebody.
Yes,
Who's it going to be?
that's a great question. I'm in my head. I'm thinking he can just call Towerette. Like he
Really?
in theory. I mean, I've never been to an Egyptian afterlife that I can remember, but you know, I feel like they could have at any point been like Towerette, edit, whatever. I can't say it like Stephen Grant without doing the accent. But Towerette, it seems like she can just pop up whenever and however and why ever. So my assumption is like she just does that at any point in time. So he could call upon her since she's the one who's guiding them to there, right? And see. Because then it'd be like, get me to my body, and you know, we need to release Khonshu. And then you were talking, and you mentioned earlier, like, oh, his soul is still in the body. The body was shot 2 times on the heart.
Yes.
Jake Lockley has yet to be seen in the actual afterlife. He's only been seen in the standing sarcophagus. He was never released out of there. So technically he's still on the boat, right? The hearts taken out were on the scales. So Mark is in the field of reeds. Steven is now an unbalanced soul of the Duat, missing out on the field of reeds. Did it hurt when you missed out on the field of reeds? Well, that doesn't make sense because I'm not dead.
Whoa.
Yeah. Comes back hard now when he's dead. He's a sand monster, which is exactly what would kill Anakin Skywalker's soul. Like, what can we say? But,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, right. That one's crazy. But then we come back, and Jake Lockley is still in the mind of Mark Spector, because when we see the hippopotamus, right, and it breaks to Dr. Harrow, and it's Jake, the third personality with Bloody Brooklyn. Oh, we're calling him Bloody Brooklyn for now. Bloody Brooklyn shows up, and he is talking about the mind. And then we see Mark go back there when he's smacking himself in the head, and then Steven. And if that framework specifically is all in the mind, but everything else outside of that specific room is real, then that means that Jake Lockley is also going to be on that boat and should be able to also enter our reality somehow. Don't know how. Please don't ask me how. It doesn't make sense. We're going, this is the afterlife.
The how is the most important part to me, Thomas. You know how we work. Oh man, introducing Jake with 1 episode remaining is again, we don't know what direction this is going in, and they have been planting seeds in literally every episode for there to be this third personality lurking. So it only makes sense that this episode is going to bring that to fruition by its end. Mm-hmm. But will it do that, or will it just open that door fully for us to explore it later on? Is it truly going to be part of the resolution, or is it going to be something that leaves the door open for a story to be told after this? Because I mean, there's so much going on here that they're going to have to fix. How much of it is actually going to spill over into whatever Moon Knight appears in next?
Great question. I think they're going to open the door fully to explore more in the future. I think Jake Lockley also has a very strong possibility to drop open, like be there in the field of reeds and be like,
hey, we gotta save Khonshu.
Right, because he was balanced when he went through, but if Jake's already there, then
Jake's
somehow
balanced.
Jake balances him out somehow, which I mean they'll have to explain that too. But he's like we said, he's going to have to interact with somebody. What if it's another version of himself?
Yeah, I think it could be maybe Jake Lockley. And, you know, in terms of how it balances out, Jake might have been like, I can't believe I'm saying this. Jake might be the most sane of all. He just doesn't care about doing violence. Like, he might have accepted who he was a long time ago and just never cared.
And
Steven never accepted, never knew who he was. Mark was never willing to accept it. And, you know, they didn't see him. His heart was not technically on the scale. But in Mark's mind, he could still hear this third personality, Bloody Brooklyn. It's a possibility. But I think more likely than not, he shows up in the Field of Reeds, gets him to snap out of it, goes back in, blah, 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 saving Khonshu, save Steven somehow. Granted, once Mark's back on reality, like, technically his mind can still do the thing. Balancing your heart does not take away your disorders on this reality, as far as I'm aware. So, now let's talk about how this is all gonna shake out. We were talking earlier. We'll just wrap this up. Like, I guess maybe we got about 10 minutes left here. You were saying you don't think there's going to be a lot of action. I was thinking there might be. So at 42 minutes, we have to get outside of the Field of Reeds, save Khonshu, break down Amit. It's pretty straightforward to me, if you ask me. Like, I don't think there's a lot to be figured out, really.
I don't know about Amit. I don't know if we're going to meet Amit and defeat Amit in one 42-minute episode. I think we'll probably encounter Amit, but I think then there might be some sort of.
I look at Amit in the same way as that monster in Shang-Chi. Talked about, set up. Once you see it, that's what it is. Take it down. So,
okay.
I agree. I don't know if we will see Amit or if she's just going to have minions doing her thing, but we do know Amit's been released. And I say that because unbalanced souls are being sent to. Oh, son of a bitch. We'll get back to this in a minute. That the unbalanced souls are being sent to the Duat well before their time, and they're just going straight to the Duat, not coming to me. That's kind of what Tauret says. And so the scales, you were wondering how the scales work, right?
Yeah.
Well, they're supposed to be the scales of Anubis. The scales of the afterlife are Anubis, I do believe. Okay. Or Osiris? Anubis, yeah.
All right.
Who's like the top god that Amit kneels before, basically, in the Egyptian mythology or whatever. So her scales are taking anyone who's unbalanced now and sending them out, is what it seems like. And the people who are okay with the horrible things they're doing now stay. Because Arthur Harrow says, he's like, he mentions you forged me, so my successes will undo you. He's committed to who he is, and he says he enjoyed unleashing the vengeance that Khonshu wanted. He enjoyed the pain of it all, right? Sounds like he accepted who he was. Maybe pain is what keeps him balanced. So,
the sandals, the glass in the sandals.
So there's a lot of different ways to interpret. I think Amit, if we do see Amit, it's an ass kicking waiting to happen. But I don't know if we will see Amit unless it is from Harrow's perspective. I would love
perspective. I like that.
I would love if Harrow becomes somebody we can fight. But I wouldn't mind just beating this shit out of Amit either. But I don't think that happens. It'd be
Harrow
real
seems
cool.
Like kind of weak, walking with the cane and everything. It would be very strange to see him.
Well, he walks with a cane and glass in his slippers. So
right, yeah. Clearly, there's a lot going on with balance. It might be a little strange to see him jumping around fighting Moon Knight. So yeah, I know we'll at least meet Amit. It just. and I'm sure that they'll thwart Amit's plans. I feel like it's whatever resolution they're coming to will be similar to how I think No Way Home's resolution was, where it seems like everything's okay, but it was actually very temporary. Yeah, I don't know. Moon Knight. I'm very excited to see what they're gonna do after this. I'm not looking forward to how they're gonna close this story. I'm looking forward to how they're gonna open up a bunch of new ones, because they're introducing so much cool stuff in this, and it's not gonna be wasted on just 6 episodes of a Disney Plus show. We're gonna start diving a lot deeper into this, especially with the Egyptian mythology side of things. We could see something like X-Men Apocalypse properly done, since a lot of fans aren't really keen on that movie, myself not included. But yeah, we got Kang in ancient Egypt as a potential like past pharaoh, and they're already teasing that in Moon Knight. And then you have the rich history of the X-Men and mutants in the Northern Africa as well. Yeah, I don't know. I think Moon Knight is like just screaming potential for all these new MCU heroes. So yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to see what this series is going to allow us to do next.
Very much so. I'm excited to see how it sets up, if it sets up the Halloween special. I'm kind of out of topics for Moon Knight.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be fun. I think it's been great so far. I'm hoping the finale lands this bird along the, on the runway in a satisfying, at least emotional way. Yeah. I was kind of expecting a lot of action, and then you were like, don't, and I'm like, you're right. I don't need action. I'm here for the emotion. I'm here for Oscar Isaac dropping in the 3 characters in a single scene. I'm here for the beautiful cinematography. I didn't even talk about it this episode, because this is the first episode where the cinematography is second to Oscar Isaac being the greatest damn thing I've ever seen.
I would agree with that. I think the cinematography's been great, but they're really leaning heavily on Oscar Isaac's ability to act, and it's paying off extremely well.
The shot where he's standing and it's like inside the bedroom, and then all of a sudden Steven leans around and goes,
yeah.
Like, oh, it's so good, dude.
Oh, and when he's
so
kneeling in the street and he switches between Mark and Steven, and like you said, he calls his mom. Just seeing the way his face, the structure of his bones and his very face are like almost reforming to it. It's so strange how he does it, but yeah, it plays really well.
It does. It's beautiful. We're gonna take a brief break. We're gonna shout out some of our sponsors, and when we come back, we're gonna dive into all of the news. Maybe not all.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
Join author Gary Zeiger for an animatic short film based on his breakaway Stingray novel series. Watch this animatic short based on the novel Stingray, You Can't Hide Forever at stingrayseries.com. In Stingray, You Can't Hide Forever, Captain Epsilon is putting the band back together to rescue his protege's little sister from the evil conglomerate. while keeping his state-of-the-art warship, Stingray, out of their hands. Watch as the adventure unfolds in the groundbreaking animatic short at stingrayseries.com. Then, join the crew of Stingray with the next novel in the series, Stingray Prophecy, where Captain Epsilon and Dr. Zubre are pivotal players in an ancient prophecy. Can they reunite the people of two worlds before they destroy each other? To learn more, visit stingrayseries.com.
And we are back, and we're going to dive into everyone's favorite segment. What, the news? JRB, take it away.
Awesome. Yes. First and foremost, the first thing we want to talk about is everything that was revealed and talked about at this year's CinemaCon in Las Vegas. So for those who don't know, CinemaCon is essentially like Comic-Con, but it's a bunch of movie studios coming together and putting on these huge panels and presentations for movie theater owners across the country. So soon, studios like Sony and Universal and Paramount will bring their biggest actors from their upcoming movies and their lead directors and whatnot, and they'll put together these presentations of what movie theater owners can expect to come through their business within the next couple of years. So one of them that stuck out was Sony. They revealed that they'll be continuing their expansion of their universe of Spider-Man characters, or Sony's universe of Marvel characters, whatever they're calling it now. And they'll be doing it with a very obscure Spider-Man villain named El Muerto, and he'll be played by the musical artist Bad Bunny.
Oh yeah.
Real quick, yeah, exactly. That's my reaction is, oh yeah, what? Why are they? Well, we know why. So it later came out that Sony actually gave Bad Bunny some say in what they wanted to do for a movie with him because they want to keep their relationship with him in good standing. And he chose El Muerto, or helped choose El Muerto from Spider-Man comics, which apparently only has 2 appearances in any Marvel comic book ever. So real quick, Thomas, do you expect anything good to come from this even more obscure Sony Marvel character, or do you expect it to be another mess like Morbius?
Maybe their mindset is, if they've got nothing in the comics, we can't mess it up. But what really excites me is that he picked this character. Was like, I like that. Let's do that. Let's make a story around that.
Yeah.
That can go a lot of good ways.
Mm-hmm.
Especially having 2 appearances with an actor, entertainer that loves wrestling.
Yeah.
And I find it hilarious that he's had 2 wrestling matches, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And also 2 issues of El Muerto, a wrestler. And now they're coming together to make a 4 lineup something or other.
Oh man, I got it. If that's if that's how loose the connection can be for Sony to greenlight a movie for you, it explains everything. That explains exactly how their business has been handling these Marvel characters. That would actually make a lot of sense. But yeah, so El Muerto, another obscure Spider-Man character, will be adapted into a live-action villain, played this time by Bad Bunny, another strikingly handsome guy in the industry. So they're really just banking on the good looks of their actors to sell these movie tickets, I guess. But another panel that got some big attention at CinemaCon was Warner Bros. They announced that we're getting another Batman movie with Robert Pattinson. So the Batman 2 is officially greenlit and in the works. We got a poster to give us our first look at Margot Robbie's Barbie, which is, I think, what we were all nervously waiting to see. How is this going to turn out? Because I know I personally was just very worried of what we would be getting from this, if it was going to swing too far towards the mature side, or if it was going to go the opposite way to be too PG. But it looks like they're going to land somewhere right in the middle. And then we also got our first full look at Black Adam with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson presenting at the convention. So that was pretty cool.
And Elvis. Shout
and
out
Elvis. Yes, exactly. The same panel also revealed the first extended look at the upcoming Elvis biopic that will actually star Tom Hanks as his manager. I'm blanking on his name right now. But yeah, we got a better look at Elvis too, which apparently got a very good reaction from the theater owners. They also revealed the first look at Michael Keaton in The Flash in the bat suit. So really anxiously awaiting those pictures to surface online because I'd love to see that. But
didn't their footage also have General Zod and a bunch of callbacks to a bunch of other stuff?
It was essentially a sizzle reel that went over all the DCEU projects that Warner Brothers has been putting together, kind of reminding fans of probably all the different universes that the Flash movie will be visiting.
A sizzle reel. They're giving us another one.
That's all sizzle reels, Thomas. That's all we do.
I'm gonna quote Kleinfeld on that.
Our Snyder Cut evangelist Kleinfeld. Yes, we love him. We adore him. Lastly, at the Warner Bros. Panel, Olivia Wilde is directing a new movie called Don't Worry, Darling, which will be starring Florence Pugh, Harry Styles, Gemma Chan, and Chris Pine, and also Olivia Wilde will be starring in it. But yeah, apparently Pugh's going to be playing a happy housewife, one who becomes increasingly suspicious that her husband's glamorous company may be hiding disturbing secrets. He's working on something called the Victory Project, which promises to change the world. She's saying that this movie was inspired by Inception, The Matrix, and The Truman Show, which are two of those are like on my list of favorite movies ever, especially The Truman Show. But she calls the movie a love letter to movies that push the boundary of our imagination. So very interesting words hyping up this movie, but that wasn't even the craziest thing that happened with Olivia Wilde during that presentation. No. So and very on brand for Warner Bros. To bring the drama. She apparently during this very presentation, Olivia Wilde on stage in real time was served child custody documents while on stage at CinemaCon. This comes from a report from Inside Nova. The 38-year-old star Olivia Wilde was delivering a presentation at the Las Vegas-based event on Tuesday night when she was handed a manila envelope while she was on stage, marked private and confidential, which is believed to have contained custody papers from her ex, Jason Sudeikis. But he is said to have had no prior knowledge that the documents would be served at that event. He did release a quote like very swiftly saying, or it was from his rep saying, Mr. Sudeikis had no prior knowledge of the time or place that the envelope would have been delivered, as this would solely be up to the process service company involved, and he would never condone her being served in such an inappropriate manner. Which sounds like a very well-worded apology that was prepared and ready to go for whenever they decided to humiliate her like this.
Wow.
I don't know. I mean, really? Like, you're
no trust.
She's presenting at cinema. How did she even get in? So on that note, as she was handed the envelope, they reported that she said, "This is for me." And then she scanned the papers and then went right back into her speech and did not even mention what had happened. So she kept going like nothing had happened. And then Mitch Newhouser, the managing director of CinemaCon, so the main guy who's putting all this together, spoke to Deadline after this and said, "We have never in the history of the convention had an incident where a delegate has approached the stage who was not authorized to be there. In light of this incident, we are reevaluating our security procedures to ensure the safety of all our attendees," which is very corporate of him to say, you know, the safety of our attendees. You know, he's saying, obviously no one was hurt in this unless it was just her ego, if anything, but he's saying, you know, oh, well, the safety of our people is our utmost priority. Just kind of covering, you know, like, I don't know how this happened. We'll figure it out, you know, whatever. I don't really see anything coming from that, but I cannot believe that this happened at CinemaCon of all places. I've looked hard to find a way to get into CinemaCon. It's not easy. And yet, apparently, this process service company was able to get in and serve her papers during a live presentation on stage. What is with Warner Bros? Why are they inviting so much conflicts into their studios? What's going on?
I don't know, man. I've been asking this for so long. Like, why? Genuinely, I mean, that sucks. That's crazy. All I could think of was Superbad the entire time you were talking. Because not Superbad, excuse me, Pineapple Express, because he's a process servant.
Oh, I thought. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Pineapple Express is what I meant, but process server. He's a process servant.
Because the whole opening of the movie is just him doing this. This sounds like it was coming out of the intro to Pineapple Express. You're right. Yeah, absolutely.
Disguises, like, that's cool, man. that's all I think about, Someone just got high, drove up to CinemaCon, walked in wearing a suit. Ma'am, this is for you. Walks out. You've been served.
Could you imagine? Oh my goodness. You're promoting your independent film where it's this star-studded cast. Harry Styles, Florence Pugh, Gemma Chan, Chris Pine. Custody papers. What kind of timing is that? How embarrassing must that be?
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, to be that guy, isn't it always a bad time to be served some custody papers?
Yeah, I would have. Shuffling out of that place must have been a nightmare for that fellow. I mean, to pull that off and then just scurry out of there. This
is why I don't have kids. I ain't got to worry about custody papers if I ain't got no kids.
That's Thomas's takeaway, because Olivia Wilde was served custody papers during her presentation for "Don't Worry, Darling." Yep. Don't have kids, children. Children, children definitely don't have kids. Yeah, don't have kids, folks.
I mean, I'm like an adult bearded children, so I'm a bearded children. So yeah, that's a fun grammar. Okay, so you wanted to dive a little deeper. We were gonna have to probably push that maybe to next week. Next week's
we're gonna have
show.
To spend the CinemaCon is gonna have to take the back burner, but there's a lot more that came out of that convention, specifically from Disney and Paramount, that we definitely need to talk about. But yes, we have some other news that we want to get to as well. Thomas, why don't you lead us into our next topic here?
Everything Everywhere All at Once hits $35 million at the box office. From Forbes, Everything Everywhere All at Once got a week's worth of IMAX engagements beginning Friday and grossed $1.56 million on its sixth Friday and is now sitting at $35.35 million domestic. It added 80 theaters, including the IMAX venue. Oh, I just caught on. I can go see this movie in IMAX. Let's go.
Yeah, you can. You can. This movie made it to IMAX, baby.
Let's go. Getting back to the report, but this is still downright implausible. Its fourth weekend earning at least $5 million. Yes. It assures that the $25 million flick for A24, for which A24 covered much of the budget via overseas distribution pre-sales, will reach $40 million domestic, a merely normal rate of descent, puts it past Hereditary, $44 million as A24's third biggest domestic earner. Yowza. I can't wait to see this in IMAX. JRB.
Yeah, man.
You've contributed to this. You are literally a part of these numbers in the last week.
Oh, I am, and I couldn't be happier about it. I have witnessed greatness, man. I was just talking to my fiance about this. I have this tendency where I go to see a movie. Within the first 5 minutes, I am telling myself one of two things. Either one, I'm so happy I bought this movie ticket. I can't wait to purchase this film and own it so I can watch it every day. Or two, why did I pay for this ticket? I might have to leave early. I don't understand why everyone likes this movie so much. And I'll be honest, And that's a horrible trait of mine, by the way.
It is.
Because I'm wrong like 90% of the time. But anyway, I was the second of the two options there, sitting in the first 5 minutes of this movie thinking, what is everyone so excited about? What is happening here? 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And then it clicked. And this movie freaking took off, and it did not slow down for a moment. The layers that this masterpiece has to it, and I cannot believe how many smaller stories were being told as the film unfolded, and the philosophy and the even the spirituality of it, as they were diving deeper into this complex narrative that they had created for this multiverse idea. Wow. And the visuals really held up too. I was saying this film had some of the best action choreography I've ever seen. And this film wasn't even an action movie. It was so much more than that. And the way that it's structured and like the different arcs and the different parts, I should say, and the way that certain characters end up having this new sense of meaning and purpose as the story goes on. It's so well crafted, so beautifully done. I'm so happy that we're seeing these smaller independent films shine like this, because this was an incredible piece of work. And yeah, IMAX, I will definitely be seeing it in IMAX. There's no doubt.
Oh yeah. This is a movie that is so damn good. It deserves an IMAX. It deserves a year of running in the theaters, because I genuinely think this is the greatest movie of all time. And I don't come out ever. I'm like, oh, this might be my favorite movie of all time.
Uh-huh.
I don't call anything the greatest movie of all time. But for me, this movie is. There are okay, so I forgot to mention a specific line from Moon Knight that's very important in it. Steven telling Mark, he's like, I couldn't face her for all the things. He's like, Mark, you were a kid. It wasn't your fault.
Yeah.
And that was a line that I kind of needed to hear, right? There's another line in Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh God, I know exactly where you're going.
I don't know if you do.
Okay, I'm gonna.
Say the line you're thinking, and I'll tell you if it was.
It's when Wayman is standing between. It's when he's standing there and he says, I woke up today and everything's been happening and I feel like it's all my fault. And at that exact moment, tears streaming down my face. Whatever he unlocked in me, it just broke me. And then when we saw this in Moon Knight, I was like, oh my gosh. Like it's not your fault is like that hit me just as hard from Moon Knight too. And it's like it's almost the same kind of trope kind of shining through is that it's not your fault. But yeah, so that hit me so hard and it reminded me of Moon Knight right away.
That's awesome.
One of the strongest points in the movie.
That's not where I was gonna go, actually.
Okay, now I'm even more excited.
Because if you think about it, in a way, it kind of is a Wayman's fault. It's just not him. It's just someone using his body, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, maybe his body has the muscle memory that he just did these things. Anyways, I'm gonna go with his wife. There's a line in there where they're talking, and it's basically like, it's a very thought I had when I was 7. And it was along the lines of, I'll tell you my thought so it can kind of help you with the line. I questioned in a very young age whether I was supposed to fail at everything in this life, in this reality, just so that other versions of me in every other reality could succeed.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What
I was
cereal
7.
were you eating, dude? My goodness.
Oh, well, man, we don't have time for that mental health.
It's a different Lucky Charms, man.
That's a different. It wasn't even Lucky Charms, man. You're born broken. You go through some trauma. Your soul gets stuck in your body. You start questioning the macrocosm of the entire universe.
Ooh, we are unpacking a lot on this Monday evening.
And dimensions. Listen, when I say that this movie is a genuine peek inside my head, I walked out and went, I can't believe I didn't write this movie. Like, I can't believe I didn't think of this movie. This is a movie that explains my mind. Like, this is how I think all the time. There's a little bit of scenario, and all of a sudden I'm like, ooh, what if? Wow, like that builds a whole story. And if you look at this movie, the moments of, well, what if I stayed? What if I didn't? Creates multiple tangents. Well, what if we did this over here instead of that? Multiple tangents. The butterfly effect is so important to this movie, and it's not once mentioned. Like, you watch how one change, she doesn't go with Wayman. She becomes a famous movie star who may or may not love her life. We don't know.
Right.
We know that the version that was in her body in there kind of was not in a good place. And then talks to Wayman, right? And so there's a lot in this movie that I'm like, wow, that resonated with me. I have never resonated and felt like if you took all of the main characters, their flaws, their strengths, and you put them all together, I've never once felt that you could take four characters and be like, yeah, that's me. And in some crazy way, this movie took a mom, a dad, a grandfather, and a daughter and put them all together. And somehow, like, between them all, I'm like, yeah, they're all me.
Oh my God. That was another element I loved about this movie, was how intimate you got with the characters. Like, by the halfway point of the movie, there was that scene where they're sitting in the living room and Wayman walks in and Joy's sitting on the couch and Evelyn standing facing her. And like the family dynamic, you just get it. You're like, you don't question like what any of them are thinking. Like, you already know these characters well enough to know exactly how each of them are reacting to this situation, and like how Joy was manipulating that dynamic to get what she wanted. Man, dude, that the movie is so well written. The story is so original. It's so unique. And like I said, the choreography, the visuals, every visual aspect of this movie kept up with the excellence that was the storytelling. It all fit together so well, and it was overall just such a great, well-made product. You're right. It feels weird saying this because I don't think I've said it before, but I think it is the greatest movie I've ever seen. I can't think of one that anyone has said that would be better than this, But it feels weird saying that because I don't think I've, because I've never said that before, and you've probably only said that once or twice, but like, I think this is probably the greatest movie I've ever seen.
Yeah. Here's the thing that gets me, when Star Wars came out, big hit right off the bat, crazy, mind blowing. When Jaws came out, crazy, mind blowing, created blockbusters. There's a lot of movies out there that have come out and they have to go slow. There's a lot of other artistic projects that come out and have to go slow. The one that pops into my head immediately when I think of what to compare this project to in terms of the legs I think this movie has is Nirvana's Nevermind from 1991. Because it came out a week before my birthday. And because of Smells Like Teen Spirit, they ran out of all copies in the Pacific Northwest, and they stopped production on every other region just to fulfill the Pacific Northwest. You couldn't even get the album. Right? But the word of mouth was crazy, and it kept slowly building, and the hype built, 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 and now it's a top 10 album of all time. Nirvana's Nevermind. I think it's number 7 on Rock. Rolling Stone's top 500 albums of all time. I think it's number 6 or 7. So I genuinely think Everything Everywhere All at Once is that type of film. Not everyone has seen it, and I don't know how to pitch it to some people.
Right.
Like,
that was the other thing is this movie, even telling people the experience I just had, it's so hard to box it up and put a bow on it and present it to someone else, as it's so much more of an experience than it is a story.
Yeah.
But
there's so much story too.
Right. Yeah. That's the thing is it's packed with like a dozen stories, and like there's even more than that. This movie has an element of just utter truth to it in how our society works and how the human brain functions. And it's such a cool kind of insight into one person's interpretation of like how the multiverse could operate with, on a level of like consciousness, And like, it's hard to describe that as something that you enjoy watching that also brings you just as much enjoyment when you're watching the family dynamic that's packed into that movie, and this family that's living above a laundromat and having a karaoke night also being packed into Jamie Lee Curtis with hot dog fingers slapping the crap out of Michelle Yeoh. You know, and the everything bagel, man. I put everything on a bagel. Bro, I had an everything bagel this morning, and that's my favorite bagel is everything bagel, and that fundamentally changed this movie was great. But that's the thing is like, see, I'm trying to think of a way to like tell somebody about this movie.
Okay,
and this sounds like nonsense.
I've been thinking about this. I wish I didn't know about the multiversal aspect of this going in, because my friends' reactions were like, oh my God, I had no idea what I was getting into. And I was like, I knew the word multiverse. And they're like, I didn't even know that. And I was like, yeah, I kind of wish I didn't know, honestly, because I'm blown away. And I'm like, okay, I'm here with the characters. I'm building. Okay, what's going to happen? Okay, oh, there's the multiverse. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Ah! And then I'm Thor just going down the Grandmaster's, little storybook. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Crying my eyes out. There's a line of like that I've been also saying for a long time. This one's a little bit more depressing than the other one. The other one was a what if. This was at the end of the day, we all die, so nothing really technically matters, right? If we're all just big space dust. And it's been a thought process for a very long time. I think we've got a really, really, really good start here to, I just changed something in StreamYard I've never done before. That was crazy. Oh my God. Okay. All right.
We're still live. We're still live.
We're still here. We're still alive, Brennan. We're still alive.
We're still alive.
You're waking the neighbors.
I think we're gonna have to come back. We're dead.
Oh my God. Yeah. We're gonna have to come back at some point soon. Maybe we can catch up. I don't even know when, man. Maybe we'll see what happens. It'd be nice if we can have an everything everywhere all at once straight up review after we see it in IMAX. I think 2 viewings is good for a full-on review, and that may be its own special episode. We will see what happens with that.
If any film deserves it, it's that one.
It is. And have you seen The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent yet?
No. So I had that on my agenda for this past week as well, but after seeing Everything Everywhere All at Once and then having Moon Knight and Multiverse of Madness this week, I didn't think it was fair to Massive Talent to try to cram it into that because I'm still unpacking everything from Everything Everywhere. And once Multiverse of Madness hits, I'm not going to remember a damn thing about this Massive Talent movie. So I want to give it the time it deserves. I'm still going to catch it while it's in theaters, but I'm going to be one of the guys who sees it a little bit later.
Yes, same. I did not get to see it. Maybe I'll get to see it next week. Probably not. It's a crazy month of May. Now,
yes, it is.
We have a lot of news we did not cover. We will get to that at another point in the future. We will try to cover it as much. We went a little long tonight with a few topics. We're definitely pushing Guardians 3 to next week. Why? Because next week we have a big episode coming up. But before all of that, you need to know where to find us next week. I'm going to say our streaming locations again, ladies, gents, non-binaries. It is. You can find all of our links for social media at linktree.com/LightsThunderAction. That will get you our Lights Thunder Action Facebook, as well as the HWWS WebTV channel on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube, where we are always live streaming. Why do you need to know that we're live streaming? Because next week, we will live on the air unveil with the artistes the new Lights Thunder Action logos. Yes,
you
heard right. Logos. Logos is
Plural. We have
Plural.
multiple graphics, people.
not playing around.
It's going to be good. It's going to be great.
One of
This
them
is going to be very exciting. It is super exciting, and we've been waiting for a little bit now to make this reveal. So,
Yes.
yeah,
we've been waiting for the time to be right, and with the multiverse dropping into this good old madness, what better way to celebrate the next week with a likely a fat, slightly a little long episode of Lights Thunder Action? We're going to reveal both of our logos and the tandem that worked on them independently yet with each other of Tom Drew, who drew our last one, of Tom Drew Art, and works at the Direct and like 3 other things. He's also 1/3 of Controller Club Gaming Podcast. Everybody's everywhere all at once. Oh, nailed it. And of course, Matt Rimke of the Direct Podcast will join us as well. He was the other graphic designer and artist that helped us. As of right now, it's looking like we'll have Tom on because he lives in the UK right at the jump. We'll dive right into Moon Knight, discuss Moon Knight with him, a little bit of his art style again, a little bit of his art background, so you can all go support Tom Drew and get a logo made by Tom Drew as well. And then Matt Rimke will join us for what is likely to be a very fat Multiverse of Madness deep dive. As of this moment, I think I'm only going to get to see it once before we get to do our podcast, and I hope not. We'll see how Sunday works out. There might be a chance I see it in Jacksonville before I come back to PC because, oh my God, I'm calling Jack Hughes after we get off.
Priorities, people. Good
maybe
stuff.
I can see it. Maybe I can see it with him. It'll be a lot of fun next week. 2 guests, 2 logos, 2 reviews, maybe more. I don't know, honestly. But that's going to wrap up our show for the most part. JRB, where can everyone find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter at JRB_direct. Also find me writing every once in a while at thedirect.com. I've got a few articles out specifically with the Thor Love and Thunder trailer we finally got, as well as some new Multiverse of Madness stuff. So go check it out.
Yes, and you can find all of my links at linktree.com/TCRochesterACT. That is TCRochesterACT. That is also my Twitter handle. If you want to come watch me tweet about Star Wars literally all the time, I can't even lie. After No Way Home, all the mute words, it basically became just Star Wars Twitter for a couple days, and it hasn't changed since. So I'm avoiding a lot of Multiverse of Madness spoilers just because I'm so deep in the wars of Twitter. I'm so deep in the Star Wars Twitter that I can't find my way out. I've had a lot of messages like, yo, I muted all these words and I'm just getting so much Star Wars. And I'm like, it'll never change, kids.
Nice.
Lights Thunder Action. All of our links can be found at linktree.com/LightsThunderAction. Again, you get the live stream locations as well as our podcast social media. That was not the word I was thinking of. It was our. Anyways, back to the plot. MegaCon is going to be May 19th to the 22nd. On Saturday, May 21st, the Thunder Buddies panel will be there live, main stage, vendor floor, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. Get ready. I don't know what we're going to do yet because there's 3 weeks of news and movies and shows to come out. So we'll see where we fall in the schedule. It's right before Kenobi, so you better believe I'm going to talk some Star Wars. Who will be there to join me? I don't know. Maybe I can convince JRB to come down. Maybe not. Let's call. We need to get this kid a rich and famous contract over here so we can just fly him on down there to Orlando, Florida.
That would make a lot of things easier. Yes. If you have a spare rich contract laying around, send it my way.
Sugar mamas? Come on.
No, that was the one thing that won't work. No, very happily engaged. But yeah, we just booked our wedding venue for next summer. So super exciting. But anyways, no sugar mums. But yeah, you got any extra funds laying around or a plane ticket? Send it my way.
That's fantastic. No sugar mamas. We figured it out. All right, we'll get him a sugar daddy. But just kidding, brother. So, recommendations. You got anything for this week?
Dude, how can we not recommend everything everywhere all at once? It's just too good. No, yeah, since it's Multiverse of Madness week, I'm gonna recommend running through WandaVision again. That show's so much fun. I think this is probably my 4th time rewatching it, and even now I'm still picking up on things I hadn't noticed before. So yeah, WandaVision and all the other great MCU projects that lead up to Multiverse of Madness.
That report came out, and I was dead in the middle of like, oh, I don't have like free time to add anything new into my schedule for like at least 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I'm cranking through 3 books for a podcast. I'm gonna crank through 2 movies for that same episode of the podcast.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's a Star Wars podcast. It's
Yeah?
Star Wars. Yeah. It's the Queen's Hands trilogy, which is a book series written by E.K. Johnston about Padme and her handmaidens. And it starts at, I'm sorry, the chronological timeline of this story starts before episode 1 by like a month or so, maybe. Goes through episode 1. The second book, or the first book that came out, but it's the second in the chronological order, is set 4 years after Phantom Menace at the end of her reign, and it starts her journey into the senatorial stuff. That is set 6 years before Attack of the Clones. So I'm going to watch Phantom Menace, listen to some of the key parts that tie in the end of the book, because I've always wanted to do it. Finish Queen's Shadow, then watch Attack of the Clones, then listen to Queen's Hope again, which is set at the very end of Attack of the Clones, and the very start of the Clone Wars. And then May 11th, the Rebellion, it'll be first ever Reckless Rebellion book club. I got Leah Elizabeth from Shiwaraki Pod coming on. Emily, last name unknown, saw her on Twitter, saw she was reading the books, and was like, yo, you want in on this? Because let's go. I need a 4th person here. We need to do this. And then Brian Silliman of Return of the Pod, a podcast about Star Wars and more. That is my favorite. That's my favorite Star Wars podcast. Don't tell the guy who's producing my Star Wars podcast. It's me.
AKA you.
It's me. Don't tell me. Don't tell me that I'm not my own favorite podcast, but it genuinely is. Absolutely love it. And I got those people on. It's going to be amazing to dive into that. And just Star Wars it up. But I got to finish those books, man, and the movies. And this week is, as I said, packed with a Star Wars day and everything. So I'm going to recommend fucking Star Wars, dude. And also Everything Everywhere All at Once. Because if you really want to know me and get inside my brain and heart, it's the Star Wars and then it's Everything Everywhere All at Once. Like right now, that is the key to my mind and heart. And Moon Knight may be the key to my soul. I don't know. We'll find out. Ladies, gentlemen, and beautiful non-binary individuals, we've reached the end of the show. As always, there could be no show without the Iron Man variant to my left, bearded, beautiful baby boy, world-famous journalist John Ross Bradford, bringing a much-needed eloquence and wit to this here podcast situation. Thank you to Terry McIver and David Thompson for their work behind the scenes. Thank you to the HWWS WebTV family for supporting us, carrying us on the network, taking us to MegaCon. Most importantly, thank you to our fans that join us weekly, whether you're watching on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, or listening via Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, or Spotify. We appreciate you spending your time with us.
Yes, please be sure to like, follow, and subscribe on all platforms. Drop us a comment, leave us a review, and as always, give us 5 stars if you think we are worthy.
Worthy.
As always, I'm TCR.
And I'm JRB.
And thank you for joining episode 84 of LTA. We'll see you next time.
Peace.
Ciao.